Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today's episode, I want to talk about how you have the power to control your reactions and your emotions. So, if you guys follow me on social media, you may have seen on my Instagram story that yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever this goes live on Saturday, I was about to wake up and go run to meet one of my buyers to go over the inspection report on a house that she's going to be closing on here in a couple of months. And I noticed that my car felt weird. So it felt really bumpy. And the thing is that my tire pressure light was not on. So I had no idea that my tire was flat. And so, anyways, I pulled over, looked at the back, and realized that my back right tire was flat. So, luckily, I was right down the street from home. I just turned around and parked at home. And then when I took a closer look, I realized that both tires on one side of my car were flat. And my tires were a little bit dirty, so I wasn't sure. I couldn't see any slash marks or anything, but I'm assuming somebody slashed my tires because how else would I have two flat tires? And both of those tires were the ones on the side facing the street. But in any case, I immediately turned. I only had about 10 minutes extra to spare. So I basically had enough time to park, get my girlfriend's car keys, ask if I could borrow her car, which luckily she was okay with, and then head out the door to meet up with my buyer. And then while I was driving in her car, I Instagram storied it and just gave everybody an update saying, it's no big deal. My health isn't affected. I'm not being hurt directly in any way. It's just a simple problem of life that I can just deal with step by step very logically. And I went about my business. I didn't let it phase my day. I didn't let it ruin my day at all. I was positive about the whole situation. Met up with the buyer, got there right on time, like on the minute, because I always budget enough time where if something crazy happens like that, I have enough time to course correct and still follow through as necessary. One of my friends replied back to my story and was like, "That's impressive." I can actually pull up the exact dialogue here. He said, "Damn, that's impressive." And I was like, "Thanks, man. Impressive that I'm not phased or that they slashed both tires, LOL." He's like, "Haha, that you're not phased. I would have lost my mind." And I said, "LOL, I literally turned my car around, ran in to grab my girlfriend's keys, then ran out. Now I can spend that mental energy on other larger problems." And that's so true because for those of you who have been listening for a long time, I mentioned in a previous episode that my ex-girlfriend was super negative, always talked about how she played the victim, right? Things were always going against her. Everything bad always happened to her. She said things like that, and hopefully she's changed. I don't know. It's been a while since I've caught up with her or whatever. But yeah, hopefully she's changed for the better. But I remember the negative energy in the conversations and like hearing the victim mentality and like she could never be happy. The world was out to get her, and that negative energy attracts more negative energy, just like positive energy attracts positive energy. So for that reason, I don't want to have negative energy or feel poorly towards something like this, because imagine if I was letting this drain my mental energy and saying like, "Man, this sucks. This is the worst day ever. Like, what kind of luck that I'd have two tires flat." Now I'd be in a bad mood and I'd be agitated and my whole day would go off of course, and who knows, I would not have been 100% there. I probably wouldn't have followed up with leads as well. I probably wouldn't have served clients that I'm working with as effectively because I would have been irritable and short and in a bad mood. But instead, I was able to calmly handle the situation and go about my day without any issues. And so it's really important to make sure that you control your state. Like, you have the power to do that. We don't always get to control our environment or what happens to us. Like, maybe you get to choose your job. If you don't like it, you can change your environment by getting another job or starting your own thing or whatever. But sometimes even when you do that, you're surrounded by situations, by people that you don't necessarily want to be around, or that situations that you don't necessarily want to be in. And things happen. The thing is that you have the power to control how you react to those things. So on HuffPost.com, there's an article called "Yes, Actually You Are in Control." And it mentioned that the one thing over which we can exert and maintain control of is ourself and the way we respond to any and every situation. Let's say that again. The one thing over which we can exert and maintain control of is ourself and the way we respond to any and every situation. And then on tinybuddha.com, there was an article by Laura Fenimore, and it's called "We Can Control How We Respond to Things We Can't Control." And the quote that I wanted to share here from Viktor Frankl is, "When we can no longer change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." I'm going to say that again as well. So many truth bombs here. When we can no longer change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So in the flat tire situation, for example, I couldn't do anything about it. It is what it is. I can't magically just wish that my tires had air in them and that they weren't slashed or didn't have nails in them or whatever the situation is. But that's not the case. The reality was that both tires were flat. I had to go somewhere. I could have, of course, if I only had one car, if I didn't have a girlfriend's spare car to borrow, I could have Ubered over there. There's multiple situations. I could always have said, hey, I can't make it. I got a flat, which is an honest excuse. And I wasn't necessarily required to be there for the inspector to review the report with the buyer. Like, they could have done that without me. It's just kind of nice for me to show face and to continue to be as great of a real estate agent as I can, so I could hopefully get referrals and stuff like that after this transaction. Everything went well. The moral of the story, the point of today's episode, things happen in life and you have to be able to roll with the punches. I've also shared lately that I've been a little more humbled lately, and that I realized, like, okay, you can't just be all positive about everything and like life's awesome for all of us all the time, because life can be hard and you don't always get what you want, and failures happen, and people, you try stuff out, you fail, you lose money, you learn, you iterate, you try again. It's just a big process, and the more you can get accustomed to losing and liking that feeling of just trying and getting better and getting a little further, the more likely you'll be successful. I've mentioned Gary Vee a lot lately. I love listening to Gary Vee, Andy Frisella, PJ from Secret Academy. Like, I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts, a lot of old content as well, and it's been getting me thinking about different ideas. And the crazy thing is that content like this episode you're listening to now, it lives on for years, for decades. I mean, assuming that we're all here, 100 years from now, hopefully this will still be out there and maybe someone will come across it and find value. Just like how people go and they read Think and Grow Rich. That book was written so long ago, and it's still one of the top books in the entrepreneur space today. So similarly, I've been going back and listening to old podcasts from like Andy Frisella, MFCEO Project from like 2014, 2015. And it's funny because it's still relevant. I laugh at the jokes, issues, and struggles that he was facing at that time in his life, I'm feeling now. Of course, I mean, he was at an amazing level already by the time he started sharing his story. But the way he says he started off, he would sleep on a piss-stained mattress in his supplement store with his business partner. And he apparently made no money for like the first 10 years of the business. And people don't see that struggle. They just see the outcome of where he's at now, and the nice cars and the cool jet pictures and flying for private or whatever. In a recent episode I heard on the Gary Vee audio experience, Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about how he loves the struggle. And I think this may have been the podcast where I listened back in the past. It was Gary Vaynerchuk and Andy Frisella. And Gary was saying, like, I don't know, I probably shouldn't say this, but part of me wishes I could lose everything so that I'd have to get it all back. Because there's a certain level of comfort that comes with success. As you start to achieve more and gain more, you become more comfortable because that's your new norm. When you upgrade the house, when you upgrade the cars, when you're making a certain amount of money every single month, it's easier to be like, okay, this is my new normal. That hunger, maintaining that drive can be more difficult. So if you were to lose it all, then of course you'd be hungry to get back there, because I think they also mentioned in the podcast, it's harder once you've had a taste of something to lose it than to have never had it. So if you've never had the $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month business, that just seems like amazing to you, like a dream. It just seems like it's out of reach. But if you've built to a $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month or whatever your business goals are, if you've gotten there, if you've achieved it, and then you've filed for bankruptcy, or your business failed, or your partner screwed you over, or whatever could happen. Many multiple situations could happen, good or bad. Now imagine if you had it and then you lost it. That would suck so much more than if you never had it, because if you never had it, you had something to work for. If you wished for it and you got it and then you lost it, then it hurts even more. So I don't even know where I'm going with this tangent. I'm just talking about being hungry, generate that inner hunger, find your why. Whenever things don't go your way, whenever life is kicking dirt in your face and kicking you when you're down, just realize that you control your emotions, your reactions to situations. Take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. As long as you're breathing, you have another shot at life. The motivational videos that I listen to a lot lately also highlight those kinds of messages that, hey, do you know, like in your hardest times, your hardest struggles, you've still woken up the next day. You're still here fighting through all the evictions or foreclosures or bankruptcies or whatever the situation is. I don't know how bad you've had it. And it's all relative. Some people have had it worse than others. Some people have it way better than others. But even the rich kids have things to complain about that the poor kids don't even know is a problem. First world, like rich kid problem. And then the poor kids have problems and stuff that other people in third world countries don't understand. So it's all relative. We're all fighting for a better life. Some of us obviously have better resources than others. Others are hungrier than others. And then some just need to see the truth. They just need to be shown the light. Others don't even know what's possible at times. So the beauty of sharing content like this, the beauty of me having my message here, is that maybe some kid in Africa who has access to Wi-Fi, has access to technology, but isn't surrounded by the kinds of entrepreneurs and the kinds of houses that I see in like River Oaks of Houston, where there's like 2 Range Rovers and a Lambo in the driveway. Maybe they don't see that kind of stuff and it doesn't feel like it's real. It might seem fake to them or like out of reach or out of a movie. I want to share the message and share what I'm learning and seeing. And when you see those things in person, or when you see it even on video, you understand that it's real and that it's possible. And then you start to believe that you can achieve that yourself. But yeah, I'm just kind of ranting at this point. I didn't have any notes. I just wanted to say that life can be crazy. And it's funny because I'm so chill. I was just having this conversation with a roommate. I have a roommate for about 6 months, short-term lease. She's in between apartments. We were talking the other day about how crazy life is, because she noticed how calm I was, and my girlfriend knows how calm I am as well. I don't really freak out about a lot. I've lost. I've had the business partner who maxed out the credit card, owes me 10 grand. I spent about $40,000 on an invention with a friend, filing for the patent, working on the manufacturing, and basically it came to a standstill where the only solution was to put in more money and more time, and I had run out of money at that point, basically. So that's how I found my way into real estate. And during that time, I was never really like crazy stressed or like freaking out or thinking it was the end of the world. Maybe I do need to have more of that. Maybe I'm a bad businessman for just being so chill, but I understand that you have to take risks in order to have big wins in the future. And I was willing to kind of take that risk and take that leap to work towards those dreams. And so the fact that it hasn't quite worked out like I want, I'm prouder of the fact that I tried than I'm worried about the fact that I've kind of thrown in money and not seen a return, if that makes sense. And I'm willing to continue to do that. Like every single dollar that I ever make, I'm going to put back into my business, into marketing, into growing. Even if that means that I'm not making any money, like I'm willing to put all the money that I make, a certain amount to pay down my bills and stuff, like keep the necessities there, but I'm willing to put so much money into marketing and growing my business and just dominating, because I don't want to have an average, mediocre existence. I don't want to be the person doing a couple deals a year, like the little part-time realtor or investor who does like 2 deals a year. I don't want to be that. I want to be like the top producer. There's an agent in my office, a real estate agent I've closely aligned myself with, and I've been working some of her online leads because she gets so many and she has so many referral clients that she doesn't have time to like deal with the online leads. And the agreement we have is if I can convert any of those leads and we get a deal out of it, I get 35% referral fee of the commission, which is actually pretty good. Most agents usually do like 25 or 30%. So the inspection that I did this last weekend, the buyer I was meeting, that was one of those leads where I just did some text messaging. We started talking on there. I gave her a call. We looked at some homes, and like a week later, we had a property under contract and the offer's been accepted. So things are going great. But long story short, this agent that I'm closely aligning myself with, she's from California and she moved to Texas, didn't know what the heck she wanted to do with her life. She just posted a status about this recently. And within 5 years, she met her now husband. She got her real estate license. She changed her life. She's now a top 100 real estate agent in the Houston market. We were talking about numbers, the commissions and the houses that she sold. And she was talking about how she uses leverage. She outsources a lot of tasks to virtual assistants, transaction coordinators, pays for staging for her clients, for her listings. And I think ultimately she's like, so instead of making $550,000, I made like $500,000 last year. That's crazy, right? It's such a huge amount of money, where most people, depending on perspective, might say like $50,000. That's a lot of money. I can't believe you spent that. Like, you could have bought a boat or something. But those who understand scale and leverage understand that her time is more valuable, because with some of the clients that she has, she can cover that $50,000 difference with just a couple of deals in the high-end luxury space, right? That's where I'm trying to get. I want to build a business and leave an impact like that, where I've got so many clients, so many customers. It's just phones ringing off the hook, deals are getting closed without me even knowing, money's just flowing into my bank account. That's the life that I want. I don't want the mediocre 2-deal-a-year type of part-time, low-impact business or life. That's just not what I want. And I hope that you don't want that either. I hope that you want a life of excellence and that you push yourself to meet and beat your own standards, because a lot of us place limits on ourselves based on what we've seen in our world and with our network, with our peers. And so that's why it's important to expand your peer network as you meet people that level up and that are just on a completely different wavelength, where they're making the kind of money in a day that you're making in a year. And now you see what's possible. It's like a new baseline, and it makes you challenge yourself to aim higher. But with that being said, I hope you all have a great week. I'm thinking about putting out more content. This year, I wanted to release a weekly podcast to continue on with the Monday release of the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. And I'm feeling kind of inspired, and I want to make a lot more content this year. So I'm gonna shoot for making 2 videos a week, 2 podcast episodes a week. I'm just gonna record a bunch of content in bulk and then have those episodes edited throughout the week so that they're ready to post, maybe like Mondays and Thursdays, Mondays or Fridays. I did post on my Instagram story the other day saying, hey, what topics do you want me to cover? So I will do that again. If you guys go follow me, my Instagram is chrisbello09. Make sure to go follow me so that next week, whenever I post it again in my story, if there's anything you want me to cover, please comment on there. I'll be happy to make episodes to cover that content, because I am looking for new ideas of things to cover. It's easy to Google stuff. I can look on Quora for examples of topics to cover, or maybe even mimic some of the top entrepreneurs that I follow, see what they're talking about, and then just do my own take on it. So you all have a great week. Stay in touch. Listen to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast religiously, and let me know how I can help. If there's anything I can do at all, chrisbello.com/contact. That is a spot to go. Or you can just shoot me a DM. My Instagram is chrisbello09. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.